ladies and gentlemen. Today, I want you to understand the profound impact of controlling your mind. When you realize that every thought you entertain has the power to either lift you up or hold you back, you'll see that true freedom begins with mental mastery. You're not a product of your circumstances, you're a product of your thoughts. Once you grasp that, the door to transformation swings wide open. Awareness is the foundation of personal transformation. Before we can change anything about our lives, we must first understand the role awareness plays in our mental landscape. Awareness is that inner light, the observer within us that watches our thoughts, feelings, and reactions. Without awareness, our minds operate on autopilot, reacting to old patterns and subconscious beliefs that dictate our actions without us even realizing it. We go through our days responding to situations from the same mental states and with the same emotions we've been conditioned to feel. But with awareness, we have the power to interrupt these automatic responses and question them. Imagine a person who has been living the same routine, experiencing the same emotions, and thinking the same thoughts day after day, year after year. They might wake up feeling a sense of unease, maybe even dread, as they anticipate the day ahead. They might not understand why they feel this way, nor do they take the time to question it. They're unaware of the mental loops running in their minds, dictating their experiences. This lack of awareness keeps them trapped in cycles of behavior they don't even enjoy or feel inspired by. In fact, most people don't realize that what they're experiencing day to day is not a reflection of the external world alone, but of their own inner dialogue and thought pattern. When we develop awareness, we begin to catch these patterns in the act. We notice that certain thoughts trigger specific emotions, and those emotions lead us to act in predictable ways. For instance, let's say you notice a recurring thought like "I'm not good enough" creeping into your mind. If you're unaware, that thought could generate a wave of insecurity or self-doubt, affecting how you speak, how you interact with others, and even the decisions you make. But with awareness, you recognize that thought for what it is: a mental program, a conditioned response. You become conscious of it, and in doing so, you open a window of choice. You don't have to follow that thought. You can observe it and let it pass. You're no longer a passive participant in your mind's activities. You've taken a step back to view them from a higher perspective. The beauty of awareness is that it gives us the power to choose a new response. It's as if we've been given a remote control to our thoughts and emotions. We can decide what to focus on, what to believe, and what to let go of. And this is where transformation begins, not by trying to control everything outside of us, but by learning to observe and regulate what's happening within. Awareness allows us to recognize when we're operating from fear, from anger or frustration. And instead of being swept away by these emotions, we can pause and choose how to proceed. Imagine your mind as a vast landscape filled with thoughts, some of which are uplifting, while others are limiting. Without awareness, it's easy to get lost in that landscape, mistaking every passing thought for reality. But when you're aware, you're like an observer in that landscape. You can stand back and observe those thoughts from a distance. You see the landscape for what it is: a mix of memories, beliefs, hopes, and fears. You realize that you don't have to engage with every thought or believe every story your mind tells you. Instead, you can choose which thoughts serve your highest purpose and let go of those that don't. With awareness, we also become more present. Rather than being caught up in worries about the future or regrets about the past, we start to live more fully in the moment. We engage with life directly, not through the filter of our conditioned thoughts. And when we're fully present, we're no longer controlled by old fears or doubts. Instead, we're open to possibilities, to creativity, and to new ways of thinking that can elevate us. Awareness is not a one-time achievement, it's a continuous practice. It requires us to slow down, to take time to reflect, and to be honest with ourselves. It's about tuning in and noticing the inner dialogue that usually goes unnoticed. This is the foundation for any kind of meaningful change. Without awareness, we're simply repeating the same thoughts and behaviors, hoping for different results. But with awareness, we gain the freedom to reshape our lives intentionally and consciously. We begin to question the beliefs we once accepted as truths, and we start to see the patterns that have held us back. Your thoughts are more than fleeting images or random notions. They are the architecture of your reality. What you think consistently becomes the filter through which you see and experience life. This is why learning to control your thoughts is so essential to creating a life of purpose, clarity, and fulfillment. Many of us go through life unaware of how profoundly our thoughts shape not only our perceptions, but also our actions and the outcomes we experience. When we dwell on thoughts of fear, doubt, or limitation, we begin to see the world through a narrowed lens, one that reflects back to us only the constraints of our own beliefs. Conversely, when we entertain thoughts of possibility, courage, and abundance, our perception of the world expands, inviting new opportunities and positive outcomes into our lives. Consider for a moment the power of a single thought. A thought such as "I am capable" can inspire a person to take bold action, try new things, and persevere through challenges. That one thought generates confidence, which fuels motivation, resilience, and productivity. But let's say the thought is different. Imagine instead someone who frequently entertains the notion "I am not good enough." This one thought, repeated often enough, can create a barrier that prevents them from taking risks or pursuing goals. That belief becomes a self-imposed limitation, shrinking the person's world down to the scope of what they think they can or cannot do. When left unchecked, thoughts like these build up over time, constructing a mindset of limitation rather than potential. Thoughts of influence not only how we perceive ourselves, but also how we interact with others and interpret events. For example, if you go into a conversation believing that people are generally supportive and open, you are more likely to be warm and receptive. This positive energy affects the person you're speaking with, who then responds with openness and kindness. But if you enter with thoughts that people are judgmental or hostile, you may be defensive, guarded, or even unkind, which can prompt similar responses from others. The belief you started with thus becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, not because of external reality, but because of the way your thoughts influence your actions and perception. This relationship between thought and reality is not a new concept, but it is one that many of us forget. We become accustomed to thinking whatever pops into our minds without questioning its validity or its impact on our lives. Yet, every thought we hold has a certain energy, and that energy interacts with the energy of the world around us. Thoughts of joy, gratitude, and peace vibrate at a higher frequency than thoughts of anger, envy, or fear. When we focus our minds on higher frequency thoughts, we align ourselves with experiences that resonate at those higher levels. Awareness of your thought patterns is key. Once you become mindful of what you're consistently thinking, you'll notice that some thoughts support your growth and well-being, while others hinder it. Identifying this can be a wake-up call. If you catch yourself often thinking negatively about your abilities, your relationships, or the world, it's essential to ask yourself where these thoughts came from. Were they learned from past experiences, from someone else's beliefs, or are they simply habits repeated so frequently that they feel true? By dissecting the origin of limiting thoughts, you weaken their hold and start to replace them with new, empowering ideas that uplift you. One way to actively reshape your thoughts is through visualization. By visualizing the outcomes you desire and immersing yourself in the emotions that would accompany those outcomes, you create a blueprint for your mind to follow. The mind doesn't differentiate between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. So when you visualize success, happiness, or confidence, your mind and body begin to respond as though these states are real. This primes your entire being for the reality you wish to create. Visualize yourself as successful, fulfilled, and resilient, and over time your thoughts will align with that vision, drawing in experiences that match it. Practicing self-affirmations is another powerful tool. When you repeat phrases like "I am capable" or "I am worthy of success," you disrupt the patterns of negativity and replace them with thoughts that support your growth. Over time, these positive affirmations reprogram your subconscious mind, making positive thoughts more natural than negative ones. This shift creates a cycle where positive thoughts lead to positive feelings, which lead to positive actions and outcomes, which in turn reinforce the positive thoughts. Being vigilant about your thoughts may seem challenging, but it is the essence of taking control of your mind and ultimately your life, just as a gardener tends to their plants by removing weeds and nurturing growths. So must we tend to our minds, uprooting thoughts that hinder us and cultivate those that help us thrive. The mind is remarkably adaptable. It is, in essence, programmable. Understanding that the mind can be shaped and trained gives us the power to redefine who we are and what we believe we are capable of. Just as a computer runs programs based on its code, our minds operate based on the mental programs we picked up through our experiences, beliefs, and environment. Some of these mental programs serve us well, while others hold us back. And the key to transforming our lives lies in recognizing this and deliberately reprogramming our minds to align with our goals. From a young age, we are all exposed to various influences: family, culture, media, and personal experiences that help to shape the way we think about the world and our place in it. Over time, these influences become deeply embedded in our subconscious, forming a kind of mental software that runs automatically, often without our awareness. For example, if someone grows up being told repeatedly that success requires struggle, they might unconsciously develop a belief that if they want to succeed, they have to endure hardship. This belief becomes a mental program that affects their actions and responses to challenges, sometimes even leading them to sabotage opportunities if they seem too easy, because it doesn't fit their program. Without intervention, this subconscious code will continue to guide their behavior and shape their life's outcomes. Reprogramming the mind starts with identifying these subconscious beliefs and habits. Awareness is crucial because it sheds light on the thoughts and patterns that have been running unchecked. Once we become aware of these automatic programs, we gain the power to change them. For instance, if someone realizes they have a deeply held belief that they're not deserving of happiness, they can begin to question and replace that belief with something more empowering, like I am worthy of happiness. But awareness alone is not enough. Consistent effort is needed to overwrite the old program with a new one. This process can take time as the brain resists change and tends to fall back on familiar patterns. However, with perseverance and repetition, new thoughts and beliefs can become just as automatic as the old ones once were. One powerful method for reprogramming the mind is through affirmations. By consciously repeating positive statements about ourselves and our capabilities, we can begin to overwrite the limiting beliefs embedded in our subconscious. These affirmations act as new codes, slowly replacing the outdated negative thoughts that no longer serve us. Over time, affirmations shift the subconscious mind to accept and believe these new statements, allowing us to act with greater confidence and assurance. It's important that these affirmations are phrased in the present tense, as though they are already true. This helps the mind to accept them as reality rather than something distant or unattainable. Visualization is another powerful tool for reprogramming the mind. The subconscious mind doesn't distinguish between vividly imagined experiences and real ones, which means that by visualizing our desired outcomes, we can trick our brain into experiencing them as real. When we visualize ourselves succeeding, achieving goals, and feeling fulfilled, we create mental impressions that the brain can use as a reference. This gives us a sense of familiarity with success and joy, reducing fear and resistance when we encounter real-life opportunities to make these visions a reality. Visualization helps to break down barriers of self-doubt and allows us to approach challenges with a mindset primed for success. Meditation also plays a significant role in reprogramming the mind. During meditation, we slow down and quiet the conscious mind, allowing access to deeper levels of the subconscious. It is at these deeper levels that we can plant new beliefs and ideas away from the chatter and resistance of our conscious thoughts. Through meditation, we can begin to dissolve old mental programs that cause stress, fear, or doubt, and replace them with feelings of peace, clarity, and self-assurance. Meditation is also a powerful way to cultivate mindfulness, which helps us stay aware of our mental programming in day-to-day life, giving us the power to choose our thoughts rather than react automatically. Reprogramming the mind is also about consistency and repetition. Just as it takes time to learn a new skill or develop a habit, it takes time for the mind to adopt new beliefs and thoughts. The brain operates through neural pathways that strengthen with use, meaning that the more we practice positive thoughts and beliefs, the stronger those neural pathways become. Initially, it may feel unnatural or even uncomfortable to think differently, especially if we've been holding on to certain beliefs for a long time. But with consistent practice, these new thoughts begin to feel more natural, and eventually they become our default way of thinking. By reprogramming the mind, we give ourselves the freedom to live in alignment with our true desires and potential rather than being controlled by outdated beliefs. This process of mental reprogramming allows us to create a life that reflects our highest values and aspirations. We become intentional creators of our reality, choosing the thoughts, beliefs, and emotions that will serve us best. Consistency and focus are essential elements in gaining control over the mind and in shaping a life of purpose and achievement. These two qualities work together, forming a powerful foundation for personal growth, resilience, and success. The mind, by its nature, tends to wander. It's easily influenced by distractions, emotions, and the constant stream of information from our surroundings. Without consistent focus, our attention is fragmented, making it difficult to achieve meaningful progress. But when we consciously harness the power of focus and pair it with discipline, we create a mental state that is nearly unstoppable. Imagine that focus is like a beam of light. When it's spread out, It illuminates everything but lacks intensity. It's diffuse, weak, and can only cover the surface. But when that light is concentrated into a laser-like beam, it becomes incredibly powerful and can even cut through metal. The same principle applies to our mental focus. When we allow our attention to jump from one thing to the next without a clear direction, we disperse our energy, losing effectiveness. However, when we concentrate our mental energy on a specific goal or task, we strengthen our ability to break through challenges, solve problems, and achieve results. Consistency amplifies this effect, creating a compound impact over time. Think of it as an investment in your own potential. Every day that you apply focus and discipline to a goal, you make progress. Even if that progress seems small at first, it accumulates, leading to significant transformation over time. The key is in the repetition, showing up each day, committing to the task, and steadily building momentum. Consistency doesn't mean that every day will be perfect or that every step will be free of obstacles. In fact, consistency requires resilience in the face of setbacks and a commitment to persevere even when it feels challenging or uncomfortable. It's about keeping your eyes on the vision you have and moving toward it, regardless of the obstacles that arise. Developing a strong focus takes practice, especially in today's world where distractions are endless. Our attention is pulled in countless directions, from social media to daily responsibilities, making it difficult to concentrate on any one thing for an extended period. One effective technique for building focus is to start small. Begin by setting aside a specific block of time each day to work on a single goal or task without interruptions. This might be just 10 or 15 minutes at first, but during this time, commit fully to the task at hand. Over time, as you practice focusing for these short periods, you'll find that your ability to concentrate strengthens, allowing you to extend that focus to longer periods. Consistency in focus also means cultivating a sense of self-discipline. Discipline is often misunderstood as something restrictive or harsh, but in reality, it is a form of self-respect. When you are disciplined, you honor your commitments to yourself. You acknowledge that your goals and dreams are worth the effort it takes to achieve them. Discipline allows you to set boundaries that protect your focus, helping you to avoid the distractions that could pull you off course. It's about choosing what's truly important over what feels urgent or tempting in the moment. This might mean saying no to activities that don't align with your goals or limiting time spent on things that don't contribute to your growth. One of the most powerful outcomes of consistent focus and discipline is the development of mental resilience. When you practice focusing consistently, you train your mind to stay steady under pressure. You build the mental stamina needed to handle stress, overcome obstacles, and adapt to change. This resilience becomes a valuable asset in times of uncertainty or challenge, enabling you to stay calm, clear-headed, and determined. Rather than being swayed by temporary setbacks or external circumstances, you become anchored in your purpose, moving forward with confidence and clarity. Another significant benefit of consistent focus is that it allows for deeper engagement with your work or goal. When you focus intently on something, you enter a state of flow where distractions fade away and you become fully absorbed in the task. In this state, your creativity, productivity, and enjoyment increase, making it easier to make meaningful progress. The flow state is not something that can be achieved sporadically. It requires the groundwork of consistency. By showing up daily with focus and commitment, you create the conditions for flow to occur, allowing you to perform at your best. Ultimately, focus and consistency build trust within yourself. Each time you follow through on a commitment, each time you stay focused despite challenges, you reinforce the belief that you can rely on yourself to accomplish what you set out to do. This self-trust is invaluable because it gives you the confidence to pursue bigger goals and take on new challenges. You develop a reputation with yourself as someone who doesn't give up, who doesn't get easily swayed by distractions or setbacks. This inner trust becomes a strong foundation for future successes, a reminder that with focus and discipline, you have the power to shape your own path and achieve the life you envision. Thoughts, like seeds, have an incredible capacity to grow, blossom, and bear fruit in the landscape of our lives. They shape our reality by influencing our emotions, decisions, and ultimately the path we walk. Positive, empowering thoughts have the potential to inspire us, filling us with energy and confidence, while negative, limiting thoughts can lead us down a path of hesitation, fear, and missed opportunities. Recognizing the profound impact that our thoughts have on our lives is the first step toward taking control of them, using them as tools to build a reality that reflects our greatest potential. When we become aware of our thoughts and deliberately choose those that uplift and strengthen us. We plant the seeds for a fulfilling and purposeful life. Each thought we have is a form of energy that shapes how we perceive and interact with the world. Imagine waking up in the morning with a thought like, "Today will be a great day." This thought carries with it a sense of optimism and possibility. And as you move through the day, it colors your experiences, encouraging you to look for positive aspects in every situation. You're more likely to smile, to engage positively with others, and to approach challenges with an open mind. The energy of this thought sets a tone for the day that influences everything from your interactions to your level of motivation. Now, contrast that with waking up and thinking today's thought brings a weight with it, leading you to anticipate struggle and often to notice only the difficulties in each situation. Even if the events of the day are the same, the thoughts you bring into it determine how you experience them. Learning to direct our thoughts toward the positive and empowering is like tending a garden. Just as a gardener carefully chooses what to plant, we must be mindful of the thoughts we allow to take root in our minds. Some thoughts come to us uninvited, perhaps memories of past failures or worries about the future. While we can't always control the initial thoughts that arise, we do have the power to decide whether or not to nurture them. When a negative or limiting thought appears, we have a choice. We can let it grow by giving it our attention and energy, or we can replace it with a thought that serves our growth and well-being. Choosing which thoughts to cultivate is an ongoing practice, one that becomes easier and more natural over time. The power of positive thought is not just an abstract idea. It has real, measurable effects on our physical and mental well-being. Research shows that positive thinking can lower stress, improve mental resilience, and even boost physical health. Thoughts of gratitude, love, and optimism release hormones like dopamine and serotonin, which not only make us feel good, but also support our immune system and increase our capacity to handle stress. In contrast, thoughts of fear, anger, or despair trigger a fight or flight response in the body, flooding it with stress hormones like cortisol, which over time can take a toll on our health. By choosing positive thoughts, we're not only improving our mental state, but also creating a healthier, more resilient body. Positive thoughts also open the door to new possibilities and opportunities. When you believe in your abilities, you're more likely to take risks, try new things, and push beyond your comfort zone. This willingness to step into the unknown is where growth happens. People who consistently nurture thoughts of confidence, curiosity, and optimism tend to be more successful because they approach challenges with a mindset of learning and perseverance. They see setbacks as temporary and failure as a stepping stone rather than an endpoint. This mindset allows them to keep moving forward, even when the path is uncertain, which ultimately leads them to achieve more than they might have thought possible. While cultivating positive thoughts is crucial, it's equally important to understand that this doesn't mean ignoring reality or avoiding difficult emotions. Life will inevitably bring challenges, pain, and moments of doubt. But even in these moments, we can choose thoughts that empower us. For instance, instead of dwelling on thoughts like, "I'll never overcome this," we can shift to, "This is hard, but I am capable of finding a way through." This doesn't dismiss the difficulty of the situation, but reframes it in a way that emphasizes our resilience and capacity to cope. Positive thinking, in its truest form, is not about being in denial. It's about choosing a perspective that supports our ability to respond effectively and with strength. Thoughts, once chosen deliberately, can become habits that shape our entire approach to life. With practice, positive thinking becomes second nature, a mindset that consistently brings out the best in us. Over time, we begin to notice that we react differently to situations that might have once caused stress or worry. We become more adaptable, more hopeful, and more inclined to see the good in others and ourselves. This shift doesn't just make us feel better, it creates a ripple effect, influencing our relationships, our work, and the way we experience the world. When we cultivate a habit of positive thinking, we're not only changing our own lives, but also contributing to a more positive and compassionate world for everyone we interact with. Understanding that emotions are powerful yet often fleeting responses, we gain a unique opportunity to influence how they shape our experiences and interactions. Emotions can arise swiftly, triggered by internal thoughts or external events, but they don't have to dictate our responses or control our state of mind. In fact, when we recognize emotions as transient and passing, we realize that while we may not always be able to stop emotions from arising, we do have the ability to manage how long we hold on to them and how much power we allow them to have over us. This understanding is the foundation for emotional control and empowering skill that allows us to live with greater peace, resilience, and intentionality. Consider how emotions like anger, frustration, or anxiety can emerge suddenly, especially in response to unexpected challenges or negative situations. These emotions can feel overwhelming in the moment, clouding our judgment and fueling reactive behavior that we might later regret. In these moments, the mind often focuses on the triggering situation, interpreting it as a threat or an offense, which can intensify the emotional response. However, if we pause and remember that emotions are temporary, we can step back, observe the feeling without judgment, and let it pass rather than allowing it to dictate our actions. This pause is powerful. It gives us a moment to reflect and respond rather than react. One effective technique for managing emotions is to practice mindfulness, which encourages us to become aware of our emotions without attaching to them. When an emotion arises, we can acknowledge it, naming it without judgment. For example, saying to ourselves, I am feeling angry, or this is frustration. By labeling the emotion, we create a mental distance between ourselves and the feeling, which weakens its immediate grip. This practice helps us realize that we are not our emotions. Rather, we are experiencing a temporary state that will change. With time, mindfulness becomes a tool for recognizing emotions as waves that rise and fall, giving us greater control over how we respond. Another helpful approach is to focus on breathing. The simple act of taking deep, slow breaths can have an immediate calming effect on the nervous system, slowing the heart rate and reducing the body's stress response. When an intense emotion arises, shifting attention to our breath helps us center ourselves, grounding us in the present moment, rather than in the mental narratives that might fuel the emotion further. Controlled breathing also activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which counters the fight or flight response, helping the body relax. This physiological shift can reduce the intensity of emotions, making them easier to manage and allowing us to respond more calmly and thoughtfully. Reframing our thoughts is another powerful way to take control of our emotions. Often intense emotions are fueled not just by events themselves, but by our interpretations of those events. For example, if we receive critical feedback, we might interpret it as a personal attack, which can trigger feelings of defensiveness or anger. However, if we step back and reframe the situation, seeing it as an opportunity for growth or understanding that the feedback isn't a measure of our worth, we can prevent a negative emotional spiral. Reframing helps us view situations in a balanced way, reducing the emotional charge associated with them and enabling us to approach them with a more open and constructive mindset. Another critical part of managing emotions involves setting healthy boundaries both with ourselves and with others. Often, we feel overwhelmed by emotions because we haven't established clear limits on what we're willing to accept from our environment and from our own thoughts. Learning to say no to situations or behaviors that don't serve us can prevent feelings of resentment, stress, or frustration from building up. Similarly, setting internal boundaries, such as refusing to dwell on self-critical thoughts or limiting time spent ruminating on worries, helps us maintain emotional equilibrium. Boundaries create a mental space that allows us to process emotions in a healthy way rather than becoming consumed by them. Emotional control also involves self-compassion. Sometimes, despite our best efforts, we may find ourselves feeling overwhelmed, anxious, or upset. In these moments, it's essential to practice self-compassion rather than harshly criticizing ourselves for feeling a certain way. Self-compassion allows us to accept our emotional experience without judgment, reducing internal resistance and promoting healing. When we approach our emotions with kindness and understanding, we reduce their intensity, creating space to process them calmly and constructively. Developing emotional control doesn't mean suppressing emotions or pretending they don't exist. Instead, it involves accepting emotions as natural experiences while choosing how to respond to them. By practicing awareness, reframing our thoughts, setting boundaries, and cultivating self-compassion, we strengthen our ability to navigate emotions without being overpowered by them. This approach empowers us to maintain inner peace, clarity, and resilience no matter what situations arise. When we manage emotions consciously, we unlock a new level of mental freedom and personal growth, allowing us to live with purpose and composure. Training the mind to seek solutions instead of dwelling on problems is a powerful approach that transforms how we interact with challenges, setbacks, and even daily inconveniences. The difference lies in a shift in mindset rather than becoming stuck in cycles of worry or self-doubt. A solution-oriented mindset channels mental energy toward finding pathways, learning from setbacks, and making progress even in the face of adversity. This shift doesn't mean ignoring the problem or pretending it doesn't exist. Instead, it's about acknowledging the situation and then directing attention to what can be done to improve, resolve, or move beyond it. This approach, when practiced consistently, cultivates resilience, creativity, and a proactive attitude that serves us well in every area of life. Often, when a problem arises, the mind's initial reaction is to focus on the difficulty, replaying scenarios and outcomes that heighten stress and anxiety. This reaction is natural. The mind tends to interpret problems as threats, activating a survival response that narrows our thinking and makes us focus on the perceived danger. But if we stay in this problem-focused state, we limit our ability to think creatively and find solutions. Solution-oriented thinking requires a conscious shift from this reactive mindset to a more deliberate approach. By stepping back, taking a deep breath, and asking ourselves, what can I do about this? Or what is one step I can take toward a solution? We open up space for possibilities rather than getting caught up in fear or frustration. Training the mind to focus on solutions begins with small daily practices. For example, if we encounter a minor setback, a missed deadline, a miscommunication, or a change in plans, we can practice reframing our response by asking constructive questions. Instead of why did this happen to me? Or what did I do wrong? We can ask, what can I learn from this? Or what's the next step I can take to move forward? These questions reorient the mind toward action and learning rather than blame or self-criticism. Over time, as we practice this approach, it becomes more natural, and we begin to approach larger challenges with the same proactive mindset. A solution-oriented mindset also involves building the habit of brainstorming possible answers or alternatives, even if they're not perfect. The goal isn't always to find a flawless answer right away, but to break free from a stagnant mindset and open up to new possibilities. For example, if someone faces a complex issue at work, rather than feeling overwhelmed or defeated, they could list possible ways to address it, even if some ideas seem small or unlikely at first. This brainstorming process activates creative thinking, helping to generate potential solutions. By focusing on possibilities rather than obstacles, we encourage the mind to become more flexible, adaptable, and resourceful. Another key element of solution-focused thinking is persistence. Often the first solution we try may not work perfectly, or it may only solve part of the problem. This is where resilience and a commitment to problem solving come into play. Rather than giving up or feeling discouraged, solution-oriented thinkers view these attempts as part of the learning process. They understand that success often requires repeated effort, trial and error, and the willingness to adjust the approach as needed. Each failed attempt is seen not as a defeat, but as valuable feedback that brings them closer to a workable solution. This perseverance not only increases the likelihood of success, but also builds confidence and mental toughness. Choosing to focus on solutions also means accepting what we cannot control while maximizing what we can. Often challenges involve factors outside our influence, like other people's actions, economic conditions, or unforeseen events. Solution-oriented thinking doesn't deny these realities, but rather encourages us to focus on the aspects we can influence. This approach empowers us to direct our attention toward our own choices, actions, and attitudes, rather than feeling defeated by circumstances beyond our reach. By doing so, we reclaim a sense of agency and reduce feelings of helplessness or frustration. This mindset shift is especially powerful because it turns obstacles into opportunities for growth. When we approach problems as opportunities to learn, adapt, and grow, we start to view challenges as stepping stones rather than roadblocks. Each problem becomes a chance to improve our skills, deepen our understanding, and develop new strategies. This attitude creates a sense of optimism and possibility, even in the face of difficult situations. We begin to trust in our ability to navigate challenges, knowing that with patience and persistence, we can find a way forward. As we train the mind to focus on solutions, we not only improve our ability to handle challenges, but also build a foundation for lifelong resilience and adaptability. This proactive approach enhances our self-confidence, reinforces our ability to stay calm under pressure, and prepares us to tackle future challenges with an empowered mindset. By choosing to focus on solutions, we shape a reality where we're not limited by problems, but rather defined by our capacity to overcome them, turning each challenge into a catalyst for growth and transformation. Thank you.